what other movie has such cheesy lines and has an Oscar to it?
Soon Sinners.
Okay. The hardest thing in this was remembering that we're trying to fight for which film is bad. And I was like, no, wait, yes, your guys are great.
How do sharks feel about Jaws, though? Because a lot of sharks probably got killed because of Jaws.
We now know it takes 20 child deaths for parents to say, okay, maybe we shouldn't look into this.
I think I've lost this one.
No, go.
Go, you got this.
Thanks.
Hello and welcome to Plot Armor, the show where we fight hard but fight fair to answer stupid questions about the movies you love, hate, or have never even heard of. I'm your host, Vincent Portrayal, and we're going to ask some interesting things today. As the Oscars rapidly approach, we'll take a look at what some of the worst Best Picture winners were. We'll also force some movies into found footage format and get right down to who the best portrayal of a father is in film history. But first, let's meet our gladiators. We will start right next to me. He's the super nerd sage with films so legit, breaking down TV and movies on more podcasts than he'll admit. It's Kutso Mataboche. Welcome back, Kutso.
Thank you very much.
It's so good to have you back. And I mean, you were on recently and you showed them you were very feisty, but those were your friends. So let's see if you can bring that feistiness to acquaintances and colleagues.
Super Saiyan mode.
Yes, exactly.
I'm here.
Don't be scared of them, even if they bite.
I don't bite.
Yeah, so
I've
just
never
tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
I'm a podcaster, so we have, I would say, 3 podcasts. One focuses on box office predictions and results. The other one, we dissect movies. And then the other one, we talk about manga and comic books and cartoons and stuff like that.
Yeah, and just I will say that a few episodes ago, he was on with his friends and they were fantastic. Genuinely had not laughed ever in a Plot Armor episode as much as I did with you guys.
Thank you.
So he's a professional.
Yeah, no, there was this question about aura farming and it was just hilarious. But now we'll move on to the next person. He's the story-shaping maestro with an art lover spirit, producing films with such sharp vision that the whole world can feel it. Give it up for Warwick Eccles. Warwick, welcome back. So it's so great to have you on. I've been wanting you back because you are so well-versed in filmmaking, so thank you for being back.
No, it's my pleasure. Really cool.
Tell us a little bit, for those who didn't see last time, what you do.
So I'm a development executive at a production company called Mannequin Pictures. Basically, our model is producing international films out of South Africa.
That's awesome, and they are behind some really cool things. I won't get into it, but I was quite impressed when I recently found out.
Another professional.
Yeah. And then last but certainly not least, he's the triple threat spark with moves, voice, and grit, lighting up every stage he touches like he was born to commit.
Bless.
Give it up for Gareth Mason. Gareth, welcome to the show.
I'm more like a triple warning than a triple threat.
But that's good. They are warned.
But they're warned, you know. So.
And triple is good because there's 3 of us, and if you intimidate me as the host, you could convince me to get you some points. So that's a valid strategy. But like, we gave a little light intro on who you are. You can tell us properly what you do and who you are.
Yes, so you said it. I'm first and foremost an actor. I do have a fat passion for films. That's where I fell in love with the medium. I've been doing that for probably a decade now, and
So professional.
So like since you were 9, that's crazy.
So thank you for that. Thank you. No,
if I said 4, it would have been weird.
The big 3-0 this year, big 30.
Damn.
Yeah, I've got a love for film, and there hasn't been like a huge market in the South African industry to break in. So I bought my own gear and I just started making stuff myself, and you could check it out on my Instagram.
Hell yeah, and that will certainly be linked below. Don't worry. Gareth, we're hard at work to make that industry burst wide open.
Yes, we must. We have
to. We'll make those spots for you. Before we get right into the questions, I know Gareth is thirsty, so we will taste these drinks in front of us,
which I haven't tasted yet.
And please do go right ahead. This is from Tebedien, who is our favorite drink sponsor, and today's drink is a blueberry mojito, because sometimes cutting straight back to basics is the right job for the job.
This is really nice.
Can I be in a commercial?
Yeah, it's
delicious.
It's very sweet, but we needed this early in January.
I'm being careful. I don't want to be like KG.
If
you know, you know.
No, he was literally on earlier today, and he was so careful. And now I'm wearing a white shirt, and I'm terrified, so we'll see what happens.
Wait, this is non-alcoholic, right?
Oh, you're gonna be drunk by the night. 100%.
2 years sober. Oh, let's throw it out the window.
No, it's mocktails. We believe in sober-minded fights.
great.
We're gonna be all good. But enough about drinks. Let's go straight. Caleb really liked that one. We're gonna go. We'll wait.
I might not win the points, but I'll win the hearts. So.
We'll go straight into question 1.
Great.
Movie sequels play it safe. What if they just went crazy with it, took the camera in their own hands and said, we'll shoot this movie ourselves? So we're asking you which movie sequel should have been found footage, and we will start with Warwick.
Perfect, cool. So the film that I think a sequel that should have been, or could be best as found footage is A Quiet Place Day One, mainly because you look at what found footage does as a medium. It takes the audience, puts them on the ground, and the story needs to be necessitated by the need to document a thing. You can't just willy-nilly have the camera floating around if you're doing found footage if there's not a purpose to try and document. So I feel that a sequel explaining, the origin of the Quiet Place franchise, done as someone busy documenting visually as the world, is being hit by these alien creatures and being attacked, etc., allows us to then progress from, people discovering that there can't be audio, but you can keep the documenting going through via the visual. And it puts you on the ground as society is all coming to a halt, and really is then the filmmaking motivates the discovery of the characters as they try and document and possibly even end the film off, like leaving a warning to everyone that this is how you survive now in this new world.
That's awesome. Okay, let's hear from Kusa.
Mine is The Hangover 2. Todd Phillips. I think the reason I chose this movie is because if you remember the first one, it was chaotic because they didn't know where their best friend was. They were trying to connect the dots and they were really struggling. So I think in the second one, it would make sense for them to say, guys, we're going to record everything so that if one of us goes missing, we're going to be able to see what the hell happened to one of us. Maybe there will be a guy that was with our friend last or whatever. So I think just seeing different perspectives of the camera rotating from the characters, kind of like with Blair Witch Project, where you see one person holding the camera and then the other person holding the camera and stuff like that. Or they could bring a fourth person, kind of similar to Project X, where they talk to the camera guy the whole time. Dude, did you catch that? Did you see that? So that I think that would be so much interesting because you don't know what to expect. It would be a risk from Todd Phillips, kind of like what he did with Folie à Deux. But I think this one would make more sense than Folie à Deux. Because Folie à Deux was just a musical out of nowhere. But with this one, you're like, no, it makes sense. These guys have to record this so that they can be able to find their friend. So yeah, that's The Hangover 2.
Great opening. And Gareth?
This is a problem because I'm like, that makes total sense. And I'm fighting against you guys. Okay, so I chose Avatar: The Way of Water. And I just recently watched of Ash and Fire. And I'd kind of been reminisce over the series as a whole. And I was a little bit disappointed by The Way of Water. And I thought because it was a setup to something that is supposed to follow it. And I thought James Cameron was going for spectacle. And I thought spectacle might work because at the end of the first one, the entire RDA and the humans, except for the ones that were elected to stay behind, left.
Yeah.
So it would be like the setup to Ash and Fire would be them finding the footage of the RDA that stayed behind and continued to document and film the life of Pandora. And obviously their technology is quite advanced. They'd be able to go underwater, and it would follow Jake Sully's family, obviously, because he's from Earth and he'd want to document it. And he had been practicing that from the first one. He'd been documenting everything for a different purpose. And I thought it would be such a dramatic shot to open of Ash and Fire with Quaritch, no spoilers, but literally watching the found footage. And it would be his intel for the next movie. So that was my...
And fight it out.
Ooh.
Okay, so I'm going to start then. I don't think Way of Water would have worked as fine.
I disagree.
Found footage.
I disagree.
And I'll tell you why. Look, Avatar is all about world building. We need to explore more. We need to see more of Pandora. And with found footage, I think you're going to be limited with that. When I started watching the movie, you see a lot of wide shots. You see a lot of aerial shots. and things of that nature. So when you're having found footage, it's probably mostly going to be grounded. And
You've got drones.
Even those.
You've got those vertibirds.
Sure, I hear you.
Underwater cameras.
But okay,
I mean, James Cameron started his career on found footage.
You also have multiple characters. So how are you going to follow multiple characters at the same time with one camera? It doesn't make sense.
Well, they have multiple cameras. They've got a plethora of gear at their disposal.
And I would jump in and say that's the very thing that undercuts my argument. I mean, for your film, saying that you can swap between the different characters in your film, and Hangover is adapted into found footage. You know, how do you motivate that? Whereas found footage is better off in a confined perspective, which is why I think it comes over to Quiet Place Day One, because there what you do, you can anchor the audience completely in a character dealing with the chaos, and it's motivated as well because they try and just keep the investigation going about what's going on in the world, trying to document what's going around.
But the thing about your film, the tricky part about your film is you're trying to not make a lot of sound, right? And it's going to be very difficult to watch a lot of aliens kill people right next to you and make no sound and still capture a lot of interesting scenes of people getting killed by aliens.
It's also very difficult in a post-apocalyptic world to keep batteries and electronics, and the access to cameras would be very slow.
And also, a lot of people will wonder why you're focusing so much on
Warwick is my friend.
like people
no friends here.
Tell them they're stupid.
Like people would be focusing so much. They would be wondering why you're focusing so much on a cat. Well, a lot of humans are dying. You know, it doesn't make sense to be focusing on Frodo when a lot of human beings are dying. So I don't think
that's a bad argument. I don't think you'd be filming cats. You'd be filming the important stuff, which is the people dying.
And again, because the whole experience of the film is them realizing that, you know, because again, you're taking the third act and making it the whole movie, right? As they discover that sound is the issue and why they're all being hunted. So you get that progression across the film. You start off with a combination of visual and audio, right? But then as you progress and then they're capturing people being killed and they start the problem solving, it gets baked into the final act where then you're just left with that kind of like Silence of the Lamb-esque like perspective of just the camera moving around as they're going across whatever the third act would be, and finally then you can make that then a final transmission out with maybe even a subtitle. You can imagine like the sort of editing that's put together on it, you know, like don't play this with sound.
Look, I think if you were dealing with human beings, if this was like a war movie or if this was a movie where people were in hiding or something, that would make sense with human beings. But with aliens and you don't know where they're coming from, where they're going, where they're coming from, I don't think that would work very well.
I do feel like you'd be more focused on your own survival than trying to film something.
Exactly, because I think for me, the sense of danger would be absent if we're just focusing on this one person that's trying to capture everything while everybody's dying. It doesn't make sense at all.
Whereas, picture, if you will, for a moment. Nothing really, in my opinion, happened in Way of Water. It was a spectacle. It was a spectacle.
All right.
You've got the setup of all the technology. You've got the technology. You've got the means. You've got the know-how. What do you do when you see a wonderful spectacle? You take out your phone and you record it.
But I think also from a storytelling
when you've got
perspective,
the camera and the technology, and now the means, because the bad guys are gone, you've got the freedom to explore the world, to document it, and hopefully send it back to Earth in your frame of it. So it's not like this planet that is to be harvested, but is in like, oh, this is a beautiful ecosystem that exists. So take our found footage of it. And I think, imagine it was released not as a movie, but it was like a silent, oh, this is what happened in Avatar.
So these camera guys are going to be witnessing fire. They're going to be witnessing...
No, just the water part. Way of Water.
No. I'm talking about the Jake's place initially when it was a blaze and they had to run away so that they can eventually...
Wait, what happened in that movie again?
Kuso, give us your final argument.
Okay, so from my side, as I've mentioned before, I think you're going to be chopping out a lot of world building from from Way of Water. And I think people would have felt robbed because they're interested in the world and the people. And then with you, as I've mentioned before, I don't see how someone who is scared that they're going to die will spend so much time recording that instead of just looking for a way out. So yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Warwick, closing.
Cool. So I think, again, to double down on the found footage is then the last point I wanted to make is around how it complements certain genres, whereas out of all the films being discussed here, Quiet Place Day One is the only horror, and the confined perspective really then allows the audience to be on the ground as well as feel claustrophobic and isolated, whereas in Way of Water, it's interesting as cool, you're capturing spectacle, but the medium itself doesn't then lend itself to the overarching story experience of the claustrophobia that the genre comes, and then put into then Hangover Part 2, you said it was?
Yeah, part 2, yeah.
Part 2, because we're dealing with sequels, yes. Is that, again, I feel like it would divide the perspective too much along the friends.
Okay, Gareth?
Yes, so my points of attack would be for A Quiet Place is the believability, because I'd have to suspend a lot of belief to believe that there was available technology at the time to be able to do these things, especially because the circumstances are having to be quiet, and where do you get the electricity to keep these things working? And then for Hangover, I think it would be tough because the whole point is that they had this night and they didn't know what happened and they have to piece it together, and to like string a whole bunch of found footage all over to remember what happened through found footage is kind of like, it seems convoluted to me. And I'm just saying these things because I want to win. But I think Way of Water would work the best, especially if it was like a silent release. If James Cameron just said, oh, by the way, this is what's happened in the last 10 years. It's all found footage. I think that people would have lost their minds.
Okay, that's the end of that round. He doesn't make any sounds anymore. He's out of batteries.
No.
Season 2 is the no batteries Darth Vader. I have a lot to say, but Caleb, you can say some first.
I am back. And also I'm realizing...
Wait, have you been there this whole time? When did you get there?
These things with the headphones are not working because I'm hearing myself echo far too much while I speak. So I have a few facts specifically around, obviously, found footage, which is what we're discussing now. This is just a little trivia that I found very interesting. The first ever found footage film is often regarded to be Cannibal Holocaust, released in Cannibal Holocaust?
No, you're right. It's
then why are you laughing at me?
Because it's a crazy movie, man.
Don't laugh at the
They
word
killed
Holocaust,
turtles
man.
in that movie.
They literally, they did actually kill a turtle in the film. They murdered it on camera. That was released in 1980. But there is debate, and it is worth noting that there was a film released in 1961 called The Connection, where the characters are aware that they are on camera and being filmed, and they do address the camera. So it's not found footage, but it kind of leads into the whole documentary style, yes.
Breaking the fourth wall thing.
Yeah.
So here is something interesting. Technically, there is found footage sequences in Way of Water.
Yeah.
If you watch Quaritch watching himself die on the screen. So there's already examples of it.
I agree.
Someone mentioned that James Cameron already has experience with found footage.
Yes.
Xenogenesis. Okay, I tried my best. Xenogenesis was his first ever project, so he didn't get his start in found footage.
I was incorrect.
There is no found footage in Xenogenesis, but the closest I could find in my 10 minutes of fact checking is technically, if you want to use found footage,
His deep water stuff.
loosely.
That's what I was trying to
Yeah,
refer to.
when he filmed, the actual footage that he gathered while he was doing...
Which he found immediately as he filmed it. He was like, oh, there it is. It's in the hard drive.
So yes, James Cameron did technically use footage not filmed for a movie in Titanic, where he did his own personal dabs doing research.
Yeah.
So not the same thing. But like, if
didn't
you
word it
squint
correctly.
and block one of your eyes, maybe.
I still agree with what I said.
Okay, Totsins.
Thank you, Caleb. It was very interesting. My favorite part of this is you guys very nicely tied in the justification of found footage. You didn't just slap it on there, which I really enjoyed. And then it started like becoming, what's the best justification for this found footage? Plus, does it make it entertaining? And I think, Gareth, what knocks you is it just does take... Imagine everyone waiting 12 years for the Avatar sequence. Like, here's this found footage documentary.
Yeah.
Like, I love how you plug it in. I just think what you plug it into doesn't work. But you're right with how it ties into the found footage. Then I was stuck with if it's going to be Kutza or Warwick. And it was a tough one. But I must say, Kutza, I think you painted a great picture. I think that's such an interesting way to use it. I love the idea of, hey, we lost our... Because you even make the fact that it's a sequel work to your benefit. Right. Where it could have been any Quiet Place, but... The fact that you're like, no, Hangover 2, because they learned in the first one and they apply that. And then you just made it better by saying they use the found footage and it's like multi-layered.
I was trying to dig it and then I made it better.
Like, it's Christopher Nolan.
Hey, if you win, you owe me.
You basically gave Christopher Nolan's Hangover. So I think that's a fantastic. I love how you plugged it in. So the first point goes to Kutza. Well done.
Thank you.
Very, very creative. And I know Project X is raunchy and stuff, but I loved that movie when I was a
it's
teenager.
awesome.
It's a
Awesome.
good time, man. Like it's.
You were a teenager.
I was a teenager. I watched that I'll admit something very bad. I was 13 on a mission trip and watched it in the car secretly. I'm like, read the room, Vincent. But it is what it is, and we'll go into question 2. Just because a bunch of old men say it's the best movie of the year doesn't mean we agree. And today we're going to prove that the Oscars aren't always right. So we ask you, what is the worst Best Picture winning film? And we will start with Kutsal.
I chose Anora.
I almost chose it.
We're gonna fight.
The acting is impeccable, don't get me wrong. I mean, Mikey
Best
Madison
actress.
really does a really good job. But I think it's in bad taste, right? And the reason I say that is I believe that a Best Picture winning movie should be something that could be studied in film school. It could be something that even teenagers could watch and nobody feels embarrassed about it. So I think the extramural activities that happen in that movie for the first hour, for the first hour, I just felt like I was
25
watching something from a certain site, right? Because I don't want these guys to.
How do you get your parents
I don't want
hey,
the-
mom and dad, I was in this movie.
I don't want the-
Please watch it.
I don't want the video to get flagged, but we've already seen a similar concept with Pretty Woman, right? But I think this one, what makes it a bit more interesting is the fact that you see that Mikey Madison genuinely thought that she was out of the game. But like I said, the fact that we see a lot of extramural activities really, really knocks it down for me, because I can't show this movie. I can't watch it with my mother like Pretty Woman. I can't watch it with a lot of people. And I can't even recommend it to a lot of people.
I don't even
because-
think you can watch it by yourself.
No!
It's like I watched Anora by myself.
Even if I'm watching Anora by myself, I have to close the curtains. I have to watch it on mute.
Wait,
you know what
I'm
saying?
helping you.
Thank you so much. so yeah, to be honest with you, I think it was just done poorly. If they had found a way to make it interesting without showing those extramural activities, that would have been fine, because it would have given us the impression that things were happening for that long. Because I mean, you can just dim the lights or whatever and we'll get the picture. So I think, yeah, that was the biggest problem for me. I get the realism part of it, but it's in bad taste, and I don't think a movie like that should be winning an Oscar. Yes, Monsters Ball, I get it, but Anora is just on another level. It's way too much.
Good opening. Okay, Gareth.
Okay, so I chose another James Cameron. Titanic.
I'm thinking back to the last answer.
Yeah.
And it has to do with water, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm quite a realist. I want to say a grounded person. I need to be able to like believe characters and invest and understand. And I thought that Titanic was supposed to took one of the world's worst ship tragedies and turned it into like a Romeo and Juliet style romance, where they don't get to be together in the end. But I wasn't sold on the fact that they could be that in love, because this guy is a scoundrel. He wangles his way onto a ship. He woos one of the rich girls when she's in a rebellious phase, and in 2 days she is willing to risk everything for him. I struggle with that completely. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, this is the best romance movie ever, and I'm like, no, it's toxic. It's actually not. This isn't healthy, and we shouldn't be promoting this. And I mean, this woman is like, we eventually see her in her 80s, and she's still talking about this guy. I'm like, don't you have a husband and grandkids? You know, I'm like, I don't know if this is the movie we should be promoting, but and like if some real like nail biters are not winning Oscars, but this movie is, I don't think it is worthy of it.
Great. So, Oric?
Okay, cool. So my approach to the question was looking at films across the years in context to the competition they were up at in those years. Yeah. Because I think as much as we can look at the films in isolation, when we're trying to look at what the best picture of that year was, it has to be taken into the context. So looking through the Oscars list from the last, however many years it's been, my mind went immediately then to My Fair Lady, which won the Best Picture Oscar back in 1965. And the reason why I say it's the worst Best Picture, because you look at what it was up against. Mary Poppins was nominated for the exact same award, as was Dr. Strangelove by Stanley Kubrick.
A favorite of yours.
Very much a favorite. And you're looking at then those films that come out and what they're saying. You've got Mary Poppins, has this really good, whimsical tale about family and fatherhood and connection, etc. You've got Dr. Strangelove is busy, talking about the fears of the Cold War and fragmentation in society. These are films that are saying a lot and commenting and being art in the areas that they're in. And you've got My Fair Lady, which is an adaptation of a stage play, which cool, it's fun and has great music, but it doesn't actually say anything. It's all pretty and it's all just spectacle, and it's well produced, but ultimately it doesn't do what I think the Best Picture should do, which is saying here is an authentic, honest, original take on the human condition. And I feel like, as a result, My Fair Lady just doesn't live up to what Best Picture should be aspiring to.
Great opening arguments. Fight it out.
Okay, the thing is,
I have a soft spot for My Fair Lady.
I know you do.
I can
Check out his Instagram.
I can show both of your movies to anybody, and they'll still be fine. Okay, they'll still be fine. You might not agree that it should have won Best Picture, but I cannot show Anora to anybody.
But these days, that's what Oscar winning is about. It's shock value. That's what I would argue is what won Anora the Oscar, is the shock value. It has to have that element to it.
I think even if it's shock value, I think there's certain limits. And I think they just took it over the edge. You know what I'm saying?
That's
you could
why
do
it
like
won.
a slave movie. That's why 12 Years a Slave won, or I don't know, whatever movie that you can think of that really won. But Anora is just taking it way too far.
What was Anora up against?
It was
I don't know
up
if we can
against.
quickly
Nora
bring
was
that
up against The Brutalist. It was
Yes.
up against, I think, A Complete Unknown was
Complete
there.
Unknown was one of them. Yeah.
Dune Part 2 was there.
unknown.
Dune Part 2 was also there as well.
Yes, but I would then argue in this. So again, Best Picture, what are we trying to do here? We are saying here's a unique contribution of cinema, in which is then talking about the themes and the times in which we're living in. And so what Anora is doing very well is playing into relationships and like social climbing and the rest of it. And yes, it takes a very audacious tone at the beginning. I mean, I almost walked out the cinema like those first 25 minutes are
It's
rough. But you see again what Sean Baker's doing there, which is why I think it's masterful. And it won the Palme d'Or. So again, film won 2 of the most prestigious awards in the same year. Like, I think that's something to say why it can't be a worst pick in regards to the recognition that it's getting. But it's how it's then painting the theme, right? It's a very well thought, because it starts off, you see she lives in this world where everyone's objectified, so that by the end, spoilers, you see the ending. Can I spoil?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
By the end, she ends up in a relationship with a guy who completely doesn't objectify her. And she, as a woman who has been living in this oppressive culture, I say no oppressive, no, in this very limited, where she's only been used for one thing, which is her looks, meets a guy who just sees her for who she is. And when she tries to seduce him, he doesn't respond and she breaks. And if we didn't have the heightened graphicness visuals at the beginning, you wouldn't understand why it meant so much to her. Because the final action is her literally just straddling him in a car and him not kissing her back, and then she cries and breaks, which moves you completely as an audience member. Titanic has an archetypal story about true love transcending time, space, etc.
But to use your point,
then
what
My Fair
does it
Lady
do that's
is like,
different?
I go back to the guy and like, well.
Okay,
No,
You
it is
mentioned-
also an archetypical. It's isn't My Fair Lady kind of similar?
I was gonna say, because
In
you
the sense to
mentioned objectifying a lady. Isn't what My Fair Lady is about? Because it's 2 guys having a bet about what they can do to this woman, can change her from where they saw her and
And it's so
make it turn into something else.
It's got super deep themes, and not only that, as you just mentioned, it's got an incredible score.
Yeah, so it can win Best Music.
And the spectacle, taking a lowly flower girl, presenting her to as well as off as the Queen of Sheba. I think that is not only is it thematically deep, as you were explaining earlier, but the way that it is done in terms of the spectacle, like the watch, the entertainment value. I mean, it's quite a long movie, but you watch it from start to finish, and even at the end, I think there's multiple endings. There's one where the professor and Eliza kiss, and there's one where they don't, because the ending is so ambiguous. It's like, is it like a father-daughter? Is it is it like a romance thing? But then it was based off of an old novel, Pygmalion. Thank you. You know it, which now that taking it and putting that into film format, which is like family watchable, I think is an incredible.
Okay, I know people who have cried watching Titanic. I know people that keep on watching Titanic each time it's re-released in cinema. So that for me just goes to tell you that movie is iconic.
Yeah, but that means they need therapy and help, not,
and it also took
not that it's a good movie.
and it took a couple of years before anybody was able to actually topple the box office receipts of that movie. And James Cameron himself had to do that. I know box office
if you're
doesn't
going to use that
but
argument,
it's interesting.
then why didn't Avengers Endgame win an Oscar? That's at the top of the box office.
Yes, but like I said, did a lot of people cry with Endgame like they did with...
Sure.
I cried.
I cried like a baby.
Okay, Gareth, make it a closing argument.
Yeah, I will just re-emphasize what I was saying. I think My Fair Lady was masterly crafted on top of its thematic storytelling and its archetypical storytelling. And that's why I think it won. Mary Poppins is good, but I think My Fair Lady was just far more relatable to an audience, understandable, and emotionally grounded, which is proven time and time again that Oscars win. As well as Anora, exactly to Warwick's point. He explained it so much better than I did, but you need that visceral thing in the moment, as long as it serves the story towards its end, which was that in the end she wasn't objectified, and it leads to this this ending that's so much more impactful because of the visceral beginning. And Titanic, as I said, I mean, what other movie has such cheesy lines and has an Oscar to it?
Soon Sinners. Okay.
That's hilarious.
Okay, cool. So again, my opening thesis on what serves a best picture is that it needs to be a unique contribution in which the time it is in. You know, it needs to say something about the world that it's been produced in, and it needs to be contributing then to the catalogue of cinema in a way that is meaningful and impactful. I think Anora does that very well and earns that. Titanic, you're talking about visual splendor and masterful, you know, it's got a great aesthetic, and it just really like pushes home like that really like heightened romance. My Fair Lady, while being a good film, just feels very muted, particularly when you look at the era in which it was made, as well as the films that it was up against for Best Picture nominee. Again, Dr. Strangelove.
Awesome. Good stuff.
As I've mentioned before, I can show these two movies to anybody and they'll probably enjoy them, and they'll probably sing along or probably, I don't know, cry or just be in the moment and enjoy every second. But Anora, I don't think I can show it to anybody. And also I would say that the fact that it was the way that you mentioned now, it opens doors to a lot of movie now playing in that field, now making a lot of movies have a lot of runtime with extramural activities, and nothing will be watchable anymore. So unless if it's a Pixar movie or something. So
I hereby agree, I'm 18.
Okay. Awesome.
I'm just seeing Caleb freaking crawling.
Caleb.
It makes me
I
laugh.
don't crawl. I stay here the whole day.
You do your job well, man. I'll just
I
say
need to
that.
take these off because I'm trying to speak slower so I don't go over the echo. I'm like, that's so dumb, Caleb. Okay, hold these for me. Yay. Okay. This sweaty, sorry. Okay, so facts. That's what I was doing. So you were talking about the accuracy of Titanic. And I know you were specifically referring to the relationship, but I do think it is worth mentioning that, yes, that relationship was fictional, used in the film, not presented as reality, whereas the rest of the film
agree.
is generally regarded to be highly, highly accurate to the historical record and evidence that's been found. In regards to My Fair Lady, you also spoke specifically about Mary Poppins and Dr. Strangelove. And I don't often talk about Rotten Tomatoes scores, but considering the fact you compared them, I do think it is worth noting, especially when we're talking about what is the best film. My Fair Lady got 94% on Rotten Tomatoes. Mary Poppins got 97%.
a good show.
Jesus.
And Dr. and he's got a 100%. And Dr. Strangelove has 98%.
Sure.
Oh, damn.
So both Mary Poppins and Dr. Strangelove beating My Fair Lady.
Man knows his stuff. You gotta admit.
It's pure spirit.
Something that was mentioned about Anora was the crazy amount of nudity. There was nudity shown in the Titanic as well. Although, interestingly
Many people's
enough,
first boobs.
Yeah, many people's first boobs, not mine. Mine was Terminator.
But that wasn't my argument. So.
But moving on from that, just something that is interesting, there were many, many different versions of the Titanic film shown in cinemas, many of them completely removing that scene from the film so that children of all ages could watch it as well.
Yeah, because
There's nothing like dying at the end that's better than boobs.
Nothing like watching like hundreds of people die in a cold ocean.
Awesome. I think that was a fantastic round from all of you. I really loved everyone's angle. I really like the flaws you point out in Titanic's story, and it had me thinking, why is that old lady still talking about him? But he does die, so fair enough, trauma and all that. So I think all of you had a very level playing field from the get-go. Then I think the problem is you were very harping on the whole nudity thing, which is fair. I agree, because I was happy when that won Best Picture. I was like, yes, but I have to celebrate alone, because it's a fantastic story and that really good ending, well written, and it's very interesting, the connection. Like, obviously it's a Pretty Woman, My Fair Lady story. Like, it's this very famous story that's told often.
But you can't tell your wife that you're happy.
Like, it's like My Fair Lady. But I think just because Warwick did his homework and took that extra, because the whole time you were talking, I'm like, man, that's a winning answer. If someone brings something about, like, the angle of, no, this film should have won. And I'm like, that's a good thing that's not happening here. And then Warwick did that. I'm like, yep, and he also argued for films that, even with common consensus, which I usually don't care about, shows that it's not ridiculous to say something like a Mary Poppins or a Doctor Strangelove should have won. I mean, arguably, Mary Poppins has a slightly bigger cultural impact, because the whole concept of taking lowly women, making her princess, is not, I think, didn't start with My Fair Lady, if I'm not mistaken. Like, Pygmalion, do you know who
Didn't
wrote
I get
that?
you tickets to watch My Fair Lady?
I don't.
No. Where's the plug, Gareth? Where's the plug?
Well, regardless.
Yeah.
I was like, did you watch My Fair Lady? Did you watch me in My Fair
No,
Lady?
dude, and it's one of the things
Oh, were
I
you
regret.
in My Fair Lady?
let's go.
I played Jamie.
Yeah.
Okay, well, then we'll let it win. Okay, My Fair Lady.
Fair enough.
This one's for Gareth.
Fair enough.
Oh, yes. The hardest thing in this was remembering that we were trying to fight for which film
Exactly.
is bad.
I also had to keep
And I was like, no, wait, yes, your guys are great. Wonderful arguments. So wonderful. Mine.
I just want to say something though. I don't
Yeah.
know if it's actually a fact, but Julie Andrews actually played
Mary Poppins.
no, not Mary Poppins. Oh yes, Mary
Yes.
Poppins, but she initially played the
Eliza
main character
Doolittle.
from My Fair Lady
And
in
she
a
got-
play.
She played Eliza in the stage
Eliza,
play.
yeah, in a stage play.
On play.
On the play.
Yeah.
She was supposed to be Eliza in the movie.
In the movie, but then she left to do Mary
got
Poppins.
banned.
But also she got passed over by the studio because they needed a name. She
Yes.
wasn't as big as Audrey Hepburn.
Yes.
And interestingly,
Wow.
Audrey Hepburn didn't do her own singing in My Fair Lady.
Yeah.
It was done by Marnie Nixon.
And Julie Andrews went on to become arguably even bigger.
Yeah, but didn't
so
Audrey
Sound of
Hepburn
Music.
die
Certainly in
young?
musical theatre.
Yeah, I think
She died in her
so
40s or something.
It's
I
not
think, Audrey
fair. Yeah.
Hepburn. I might be confusing her
No,
with...
no, Audrey Hepburn
Judy
lived to-
Garland, I think.
No,
Judy Garland. Oh.
No, Audrey
No,
Hepburn
Judy
died
Garland
young.
passed away when she
As
was
a
old.
fact checker,
Yeah.
most of what you said is correct.
Anyway,
That's all we need.
very fascinating.
Dude, as soon as you started talking about the comparisons, I was like, we're screwed. We're screwed.
No, I mean,
Really, no.
I
when you
mean,
mentioned
it's-
Mary Poppins, I was like, oh, we're done.
It's very good, and we could talk about this all day. But seeing that we are on the topic of vintage film for the most part, let's dive deeper. For some reason, when characters in movies watch something, it's always black and white or old as balls. So these old films must be something special. We then ask you, what is the best movie older than 50 years? And we will start with Gareth.
I chose the Monty Python Quest for the Holy Grail. Simply because
Clop, 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 clop.
every single person, when they hear that name, they chuckle. They go, they know something extremely memorable from that movie, whether it be the knights who say knee, whether it be the knight who gets his arms cut off and he's like, it's just a flesh wound, whether it just be the clop clop. And to this day, it holds up. And you can, well, I don't know if you let your kids watch it, but I watched it when I was relatively young, laughed my head off, and you could play it for anyone in this day and age and they would have a good time. And it is also quite popular. When you mention the name Monty Python, people go, oh, Holy Grail. And it was eventually adapted into a stage musical as well, Spamalot, which did exceedingly well. And that is my answer.
Awesome. Warwick?
Cool. So looking at then best movies that are over 50 years, I think you have to consider, similar to Gareth's point about what has lasted to the current day, which is then, known, that people love still, that holds up on a watch, and has created, a massive cultural impact. And for me, the only answer can be Jaws by Steven Spielberg, 1975. So it just sneaks in there on the answer, because we look at it as a film. One, it is the film that started the entire the blockbuster trend, the whole idea of the summer movie. So already changing the entire landscape of what movie watching was as widespread releases. But But then also you've got the fact it's got the iconic score by John Williams that, has been sampled and riffed in countless movies across the way. And so that's an even broader impact. And then also it's a story in and of itself. It's a great adventure story about a sheriff versus a shark, trying to save his community, deals with surprisingly, deep themes around human greed as well as self-sacrifice. And ultimately it lives up to this day and spawned a couple of bad sequels. But, again, cultural hype, relevance, and just still holds up, beautifully directed as well.
Kutso?
Well, mine is Citizen Kane. So Citizen Kane is actually considered to be one of the best movies of all time. You can even Google it now and you'll probably see the best movie of all time.
Roping in the fact checker.
So I think it is truly amazing because it's non-linear storytelling, which is something I don't think that was quite prominent back in the day. It's not the first to do it, but that's what was an interesting storytelling technique. The actor was very young at the time. I just don't want to mix him with George Orwell because it kind of sounds like George Orwell, but...
Orson Welles.
Orson Welles,
always confusing.
Yeah. So thank you. Orson Welles was in his 20s when he did this movie, and he didn't really know much about film. He just got some few pointers, and he came up with one of the best movies of all time. When you look at a movie like The Grand Budapest Hotel, when you think about Scorsese, when you think about Tarantino, even when you think about a lot of film directors, even Spielberg, who did Jaws, they were inspired by Citizen Kane. And it really delves into the character, this guy who really wants to be loved. And you understand why he seeks such validation from a lot of people, whether he goes into politics, whether he goes into business, or whether he's trying to make sure that his second wife becomes the biggest star of all time. He just seeks validation from people. That's his thing throughout his entire life. And it's because he was separated from his parents when he was a little kid. So that thing haunts him from throughout his entire life. And it's quite interesting to see that because it's highly relatable. You don't have to go to the ocean, but with Citizen Kane, you could think about your own life and wonder whether you're trying to be a people's pleaser or not. So yeah, Citizen Kane is mine.
I don't know anything about the movie, so I believe you.
Okay, Kuzo gets the point. Okay, now fight it out to the best of your ability.
Okay, cool. So I'm just going to jump in again. Let's look at what we're talking about. What qualifies as, best movie, from way back in the day. And I think it needs to be that which, continues through generations and has repeat watchability and ideally scales across time. It's kind of, it's not...
Monty Python, thank you.
No, but the problem with Monty Python is I think it's I had to contrast it between Jaws and Monty Python. I think more people know Jaws and can appreciate the tropes around Jaws and the story than Monty Python. Monty Python's got some cool little sound bites, etc. Right? But Jaws, you look at the impact it's had, one on film, but as well as then just what people recognize the story and know. I think more people have watched Jaws than Monty Python, but then also on a technical level, part of Monty Python's charm is, of course, the fact that it's very low budget micro filmmaking. You get a lot of gags and stuff out of that, but as a cinematic quality and a story experience, Jaws is cinema. It is a movie. It moves forward, whereas Monty Python's Holy Grail is a great stage play and skits, etc., but I wouldn't classify it as a movie. Problem with Citizen Kane, although it's great and really well put together, I don't think it has been able to last into the current zeitgeist and in people's minds and be able to say, hey, we all know this movie, we celebrate it. If you ask the average person on the side of the road, have you watched Citizen Kane?
Exactly.
I think the problem...
How do sharks feel about Jaws, though? Because a lot of sharks probably got killed because of Jaws.
We need to ask the shark.
Is that a Trump impression?
a lot of sharks.
Many sharks.
Many sharks. I love sharks.
We need to ask the shark
Steven
community.
Spielberg doesn't like sharks, obviously.
I think the issue with Jaws that I have is there's a lot of movies that try to imitate Jaws already, and they've already been released. And I mean, look, there's The Meg, for example. There's Sharknado. There's like what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of movies where sharks are like the villain, right? And the thing is,
how do sharks feel about that? Have we asked them?
I think we should. If people are exposed to those movies before they watch Jaws, they won't really find Jaws to be such a spectacle because the expectations were already met watching Deep Blue Sea, for example.
Yeah, but they'll find it a better story because everything else is a novel.
Even if it is a better story, it won't be as engaging to them because it's something that I've already seen before. If that makes sense. But with Citizen Kane, yes, there are other movies that have already touched on like non-linear storytelling and things of that nature. But when you look at it and you think about the time that this movie was made in, first of all, that in itself is fascinating. When you look at the practical makeup, the fact that Orson Welles, right, played different ages and was so convincing in each and every part of his life in that sense. That for me is truly fascinating. I think a lot of other people struggle to play an old person. You could see that they're really struggling. But with him, you could believe each and every scene that he was in. He steals every scene, And the fact that you see different timelines with him being in charge and being with different women and being in multiple scenarios and still feel sorry for him and sometimes actually agree with his friends or enemies, that for me is brilliant storytelling. And I don't think Jaws gets to that level because for the most part you only deal with 3 characters that are trying to solve the problem, whereas with Citizen Kane we deal with multiple characters that have been affected by this one person.
Let's talk about how these films hold up in today. Have you watched Jaws recently?
Yes.
Did you enjoy it?
I love Jaws so much.
Well, of course you're going to say that.
No, generally, Jaws is what made me want to be a filmmaker, dude.
Wow.
Because of the spirit of this old movie, and even though
It's gone personal.
the mechanical shark, you're like, okay, yeah, you can see it's fake, but dude, the tension in the moment as you're watching just the heart and passion played out in this film.
I didn't feel
is
that
amazing.
when I watched it recently because I guess
You're dead inside,
we've been
Gareth.
exposed to technological advancements.
Yes.
We understand that now looking back, it's a pretty fake shark. And I've never seen Citizen Kane again. But again, in terms of people who popularity in still today's age, almost everybody knows Monty Python, the Holy Grail. Everybody can quote a joke from it, as you did, as I mentioned it. Not everybody can watch Jaws because people have a shark phobia. Not everybody can watch Citizen Kane because it's an intense movie.
It drags.
Fact check me. Every single person can watch some parts of Monty Python, the Holy Grail, and receive enjoyment and elation.
I think the problem
Make it your
with
closing.
Monty Python for me is that the first time you watch it, you're going to laugh. Don't get me wrong. But I mean, the second time, third time, fourth time, when you watch it and you still watch the credits and you read the subtitles and you get the joy, like, okay, I'm tired of this already. So the problem for me with comedy is as you keep on watching it, eventually it's not funny anymore and you don't want to watch it anymore. But when you watch movies like Citizen Kane, you still could learn something from it, whether it's a specific scene, a specific shot, a specific storyline, a specific way an actor was revealing something about the character. So for me, Citizen Kane is rewatchable, but the Monty Python I don't think is as rewatchable because eventually the comedy bits is something that you already expect. So I don't think it's going to be as funny eventually. It's like watching the same stand-up comedy for a long time and eventually the jokes don't hit as much.
Okay, Gareth.
I've just gone blank. Can you skip me?
Sure.
Circle back.
It's like
around.
half a point.
So again, I think to rank it again, I feel that Citizen Kane, although while it is technically great, touching on some great themes, is a difficult first watch and battles then to connect with people in the current age. I feel like it's a film for filmmakers. So in closed circles or in people who are generally in the craft, it can be something that can be rewatched. But the average person, looking back at cinema history and saying, hey, what's a movie that I can connect with from the past? Wouldn't be able to connect to it as well. Off the Monty Python one, I feel, again, similar to the point that yes, it does have entertainment value, but it's got a bit of a niche humor. And again, I like the point that's raised about that it can lead to diminishing returns on the investment. Whereas Jaws, because of just the sheer narrative drive at play and the stakes and how the performances and everything lay out across the story, as well as just the sheer heart of the movie and its cultural impact that we see to today, I think ranks it still as the best film from the last 50 years. Well, it's older than 50 years.
Gareth, you ready this time?
Yes, I'm ready.
Go for it.
So I do think that both Jaws and Citizen Kane probably are great movies, but I think the point we're trying to make is which movie holds up the best. And if you want to talk cultural significance or rewatchability, cultural significance, I mean, Monty Python laid the floor for absurdist humor, which then went on to influence things like Blackadder and Thin Blue Line, and John Cleese he still is revolutionary in terms of the world of comedy. And I absolutely disagree with the point that it's not rewatchable because despite what you might think, the absurdist humor is extremely layered, and you can watch it as a kid and then watch it again as an adult, and you'll get completely different takes to the humors and the themes.
So dissatisfying. Very good, Caleb.
So I know what you're actually all wondering.
What are the facts?
How old is old as balls? The earliest evidence of balls dates back to the Paleolithic era.
Okay.
That's old as balls.
If you don't have actual facts and you spent all your time on that.
So the way you spell
I'm happy with that.
Paleolithic is P-A. No, I'm joking. So I think I'm going to just basically give a few different facts about the films that were brought up multiple times. Namely, the year it was released, Rotten Tomatoes score, and then its age restriction. And then I'll move more on to some other facts that I found. But the Monty Python Quest for the Holy Grail came out in 1975, has a 92% on Rotten Tomatoes.
And it's not, there's no quest in the title. It's and the. He also said that. So it's it's Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Because I checked this.
Oh,
It's
and
not
the Holy
Quest
Grail,
for-
yes.
Yeah, continue.
I was
Lose the point. You didn't know the movie.
I was embellishing.
Time to quickly fact check something.
No, it is 75, so you probably do have the right thing.
Monty Python.
Oh, because I checked
And the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
I have no idea where.
No, he said quest, and it's also on
Yes,
his
no, no.
answer. No, it's a mistake people make.
Which is interesting because I would have 100% made that mistake as
I'm
well.
included in that.
Cool. So 92% and its PG rating is 13.
Interesting.
Jaws released the same year in 1975 with a 97%.
Oh, you got me.
Also PG-13.
What?
Which is wild.
PG-13.
That's wild.
Then
My mom
Citizen
still
Kane.
can't swim in the ocean because of that movie.
Cultural impact.
Citizen Kane was released in 1941.
Wow.
With a 99% on Rotten
It used to be
Tomatoes.
100. Some
Used to be
asshole.
I should have
Someone's
checked
like,
the
"Oh,
Rotten
drags."
Tomato
I remember
rating.
it got changed very recently. This is a fun fact, and because of that, Paddington 2 is now the highest.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great
Actually,
movie.
Well
Great movie.
deserved.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the same year Superman was created. Or first
Oh,
published.
no, he's 38, I think. 1938, right? Superman. It's fine. Just
Superman.
continue.
Or the cartoon, maybe. I don't know.
No, the character's 38, yeah.
Interesting fact is I struggled to find this. It is PG-12 plus. I don't know why it's not considered PG-13.
There were no age restrictions back
They're
then.
PG-12 plus.
They were too busy
People were
hunting.
going to war at
No,
7.
they were too busy hunting communists. They didn't care.
Citizen Kane is non-linear. The very first film that is considered to be non-linear is Intolerance, released in 1916. You guys were arguing about who's seen which movie most. This was very hard to guess. But Monty Python, based off a variety of different, whether that's the theatrical release, whether that's the VHS release, that's the streaming, everything, it's estimated to be in the tens of millions.
Of what?
Add at least 100 because I've watched it that many times.
This is a dumb one because I know I wasn't included in this, but they did a poll where they apparently did, they asked a ton of Gen Z people, and the conclusion they came to was over half of Gen Z have watched Jaws,
That's just not true.
which to me
Yeah, that
feels
means nothing.
wild, but this was given
once
to me
again,
on, I found this
people
back.
always say
Yeah.
this shit. China.
Yeah.
You think half of Chinese people have seen? No.
I wouldn't be surprised. To be
It
honest.
was
Jaws,
probably
yes.
in the States.
Yeah. This is what multiple websites have said. So like, don't shoot me, shoot all of the bad,
It will
journalists.
have no impact at all.
1.9 billion is the current standing of Gen Z. So what is half of 1.9 billion? That's maths I didn't do, but that's how many people have apparently watched Jaws, which is a lot more than
Nope.
just tens of million. I don't think it should count.
What's the next fact?
No, that's my facts.
Cool.
I can give you
Okay.
another one.
No, I
When
don't
was
like that one.
Superman?
Yeah, when was Superman?
1938. That's
1938.
When was
That's a fact.
Action Comics number 1.
It's
But-
1938.
But the Fleischer cartoon?
September 1938.
1938. And when was Superman?
The Fleischer cartoon?
Does Gareth get a bonus point if he's right on September?
No, we're probably going to cut out a lot of it.
The Fleischer cartoon came out in 1941 and 1943.
Well done. Okay. Very, very good debates. Once again, the problem is when you cover the basics very well all around, I have to find other ways to look at it. And so if the question is, older than 50 years, and then you tweak it to what happens to it in those 50 years, I like that approach. And I think Gareth was the first person to kind of look at it like that. And the truth is, of all of these films, when you talk to the general person, they're going to take that and watch that. Jaws was close. I love your mindset behind Jaws, but I love how you knocked down Jaws, because it's so true that unfortunately when copycats come and make shittier movies, when you go to the original, it's diminishing returns. Because I remember when I watched Alien for the first time quite recently, I'm like, I've seen this a million times. It's the first thing to do that, but I saw Life first. So I'm crazy, but I liked Life more than Alien because that was my first version of that. So what happened to it over time is what, and one thing you said, which is just terribly untrue, is I think comedies are probably the most rewatched medium of any genre of movie. I mean, if you talk to people who aren't in the film space, they love rewatching their favorite comedies. So I think Holy Grail wins this one. Definitely, I don't like it as much as other people do. It is a lot. Like,
this is a consolation point.
Yeah. I do love how you tackled, because you kind of forced the argument in that direction. Everyone tried to keep up, and I don't think they could. I think what happened to your movie over those 50 years is impactful. I don't care what the hell these fictitious Gen Z, half of them did. That's just a nonsense, like such a nonsense fact. It's not your fault at all.
I spent 5 minutes trying to find which movie's been watched more.
No,
it was such an
they
outlandish
always
thing
make
for me
these
to look
claims
up.
of half of people, and I always know they're not including India and China.
But you know what they're also not including is how many times has Monty Python, the Holy Grail, been memed on TikTok?
That's what
I kept waiting for you to say. I was like, if I was arguing your point, I'd be like, because
the cultural significance holds up.
No, it's referenced.
Tis but a flesh wound.
Yeah, and it's referenced.
Your mother smelled of elderberries.
just the social media impact on the comment. And there's an interesting point.
But I must say, I was laughing already when I saw the credits. I was like, this is hilarious.
Yeah.
Like the people have been sacked, and then we got other people, and those people were sacked, and the director was sacked, and
and I mean that impacted Deadpool, and so it's just very good answer.
No, well answered.
So
thank you.
Now, we don't support killing of any kind, but we do love the mystery that unravels in the tracking down of a sick psychopathic killer, and it is a sure case of intrigue for a film. So we ask you, what is the best serial killer movie? And we will start with Warwick.
So in looking at what's the best serial killer film, my answer is Seven by David Fincher, because it does the things that you set up in your introduction there, Vincent, is that it has a very interesting, compelling mystery and detective story attached to it, but it's not just about hunting a serial killer, who's the person behind the crimes. It elevates the genre into a thematic argument around good and evil, particularly in the sort of like postmodern or like modern day of like the 90s, etc. Everyone is feeling completely, shot to their hearts. But yeah, it combines genre with then higher theme and gives us a serial killer narrative in a way we hadn't seen before with that level of depth, and also just great performances in it.
Awesome. Good talk.
Mine is Nightmare on Elm Street, Wes Craven, and I think it introduces us to one of the most scariest characters, Freddy Krueger. And the reason I chose it is, this guy, when you hear about his past, he had already unalived 20 children. Right, the parents had to intervene to unalive this character. But the other thing is, for you to actually
kill.
Well, I don't know.
I must just say, I just hate that word. It's fine. We'll take the
channel.
I appreciate you say it.
Okay.
Serial unalive, no killer.
Okay, so he's a killer, and the thing about him is you see him in your dreams, right? So that makes it more realistic, in my opinion, in a sense that when I was a kid, look, let me be honest with you. I know it sounds ridiculous. To argue that? No. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I saw it when I was a kid, and I was scared to sleep because I thought that Freddy Krueger would come and kill me. You know what I mean? So I think in it, the concept in itself, where the main characters have to struggle to sleep so that they don't have to deal with this guy. For me, I think it really had a huge impact in my viewing experience.
Okay. Gareth.
So I chose No Country for Old Men, which is a slightly different take. It's less about hunting the serial killer, and it's more about you kind of start thinking that the serial killer is the protagonist, and it also deals with deeper themes involving serial killing, and I think it's metaphorical and allegorical in the sense that it deals with this concept of death and morality and its subjectivity, and you can play the game of chess, or you can live as long as you play the game of chess with death. And I thought that it was a little bit more than just this antsy thriller of like who's the killer going to do next, but it makes you question your own mortality, which I think movies are designed to do.
Awesome. Find it out.
I suppose it comes down again to definition. What is the expected entertainment experience of a serial killer narrative, right? And typically that is, it's the detective story, hunting down the killer, understanding their motivation, and ultimately bringing them to justice, right? And so looking at No Country for Old Men, I feel like it does an interesting thing in, so to speak, its representation of serial killers, because, the guy is, he's not a crafty mastermind, etc. But then I think the film overall tries to give a representation and an allegory without then obeying genre, without, allowing us to really see it, to take in what we've seen before, giving the audience the comfort of the pattern of, I'm going to go watch detective solve a crime. But then, what Seven then does, well, it takes that pattern, but then gives it a unique spin. So I feel like that No Country for Old Men does something cool, but doesn't quite align. And then similar thing with A Nightmare on Elm Street. Like, it's like Freddy Krueger he's a slasher monster character more so than a serial killer, I'd say, in the archetype, right? So he is a person who haunts people's dreams. He's more of a monster than down the serial killer route. So that's fundamentally, I would really put Seven ahead of those two options.
Yeah, so I would agree with Warwick in that I think Nightmare on Elm Street is more of a supernatural horror type film, which yes, while Freddy is this murderous killer, at the end of the day, it requires a great deal of suspension of disbelief to believe it. But then I would argue that your point affirms my position on No Country for Old Men, because it does in the beginning have this, seemingly all good character who is after the serial killer, and he himself dies, which then subverts the expectation of the original genre. And you're like, well, if the all good is gone, who's going to keep this guy in check? Which adds to the suspense, adds to the thrill of the movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I found that, though, fundamentally disrupting the film's narrative drive, because I went in that expecting the film to be a hunting down the serial killer, how's it going to work, and align me to the protagonist, the Josh Brolin character. And they subvert expectation, but I think they stalled an energy they had going. Whereas in Seven, right, they managed to keep the protagonist very much aligned to the audience the whole way through. No Country for Old Men fundamentally stalls the narrative drive and the experience of the serial killer genre, I feel, when you put it into the detective story, right? So although it had investigative elements, it fundamentally shoots itself in the foot and leaves in the last half an hour of Tommy Lee Jones just being, I don't know what's good anymore. And it's just like, right. Whereas Morgan Freeman has a similar arc. He's also disillusioned, but fundamentally by the end of the film, he says, but it's all worth fighting for, right? So even though it is bleak and, Brad Pitt, shoots John Doe, and it, the villain gets away with it, ultimately the philosophical argument around good versus evil and do we stand up against it continues to ride. And I think that's what makes it such a classic. No Country for Old Men leaves us in just like bleak, well, it's all relative and there's no justice and the evil guy gets away with it. And then, Nightmare on Elm Street plays well with the horror and fear, but doesn't give us then a satisfying conclusion. It ends with, it all just, oh, well, it's all just psych, guys, it's all real, and not really, we actually don't know. Whereas there's a nice conclusion giving in Seven, which then ultimately wraps up the story experience of the detective serial killer genre.
There's two things I just want to say about the movies that you guys have mentioned. First of all, if you were a parent and you watched Nightmare on Elm Street, you would make sure that your kid comes home by 4 every single day, because Freddy Krueger was a child killer, and if you hear stories about child killing and whatever, you'll just be like, oh, flip. I saw something similar in a movie once. This guy is so legendary that he has a song. There's a Freddy Krueger song, and I'm not talking about the supernatural part, just because of his past, right? The thing about the movies that you mentioned, I agree with Warwick when he said that it subverts expectations. That's absolutely true. By the time I got there, I was like, this is what I was waiting for, and this is how it ends? So I was very disappointed by that. I do agree that the character is very interesting, but are you telling me that nobody saw this guy blow up a car? Nobody! The entire street, and also when they were shooting each other at night, are you telling me that the neighbors didn't hear the noise? Nothing? It was just two people shooting each other and nobody saw anything. That's ridiculous to me. You know what I'm saying? And then with you, Seven is what's in the box?
Talking about a guy who kills people in dreams.
It's an interesting character. I don't want to lie, but I think the problem that I have with what was his name again?
Oh, with the
Brad
villain.
Pitt?
No, the villain.
Kevin
The villain,
Spacey.
John Doe.
Oh, John Doe, yeah. The problem that I have with John Doe is, yes, he does, actually get the wife of the main character, but he dies at the end. You know what I'm saying? So to me, I feel like he doesn't really have a lasting impression on me, because the main character actually gets rid of him. You know what I mean?
But where I would jump in there is that John Doe wins the plot fight, because although part of his plan was to ultimately be killed and prove his point and his perspective on reality, because again, you see, that's what the story is actually doing. It's two world views about, is man inherently an evil animalistic beast, or is there something that's transcendent and worth fighting for? And that's what Seven does through the Morgan Freeman character.
I agree with you, but
I would argue that also subverts expectations in a very similar way that you said it does too.
But it closes off its narrative experience, because we understand that the audience has a catharsis they can align to. I think as a result, we're looking at the detective story and what audiences want out of it, particularly around serial killers, because serial killers represent the freak abnormality of the human psyche, right? And it's the thing that we fear about. And fundamentally, the story question for the audience is, well, what do we do with that? So No Country for Old Men goes, well, there's nothing we can really do about it. Nightmare on Elm Street says, well, it's all-encompassing and it's horrific and, we can never escape from it. Whereas then you've got Seven comes along and says, it does exist, but guys like me, Morgan Freeman, the world's actually got some good in it and it's worth fighting for. So the audience can take that away, taking through this entire psychological experience, the tension, the gore, the viscera, etc., ultimately to be leaving the theater feeling like this is actually a theme I can hold on to. So again, what is the story meant to be doing for the audience becomes my fundamental perspective, and I'll actually wrap that up.
I was about to say, if you want to, I'm going to take that as your final argument. If you want to add something, you can.
That's me for final.
Okay, Kutsu, you want to say something?
No, my final.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's going to be a bit repetitive, but all I just want to say is, even if you take out the supernatural part of it, the fact that this man was able to kill 20 children to a point where parents had to intervene, not the cops, because he got away with it, by the way, if you know the story. They let him free, like he didn't go to jail. And then now the parents had to intervene, and now he's been, like, these parents are being haunted by this person that they killed and they thought they got rid of. I think it leads a strong impact on the psyche of people to say that even if you get rid of one person who's killing children in the real world, this thing is still going to continue. Whereas with Seven, for example, as I've mentioned before, once you get rid of the villain, the serial killer is gone, and then everybody moves on with their lives. And as we've mentioned before, No Country for Old Men subverts expectations, and I think it just really takes down the whole serial killer aspect for me.
Okay. Do you want to say something, Gareth?
Yes, one last thing.
Go for it.
I know we've been bashing, I suppose, the philosophy of these movies, but what I also wanted to say is No Country for Old Men was pretty well crafted as a movie. The acting was brilliant. The cinematography was brilliant. So from an entertaining perspective, to watch the movie, it's incredibly gripping and well made.
Time. It's interesting because
nice. The timing was perfect.
I think it's. I love that you threw that in there at the end. I wish there was more. I think there was getting a bit.
It's quite a meaty one.
In the it got a little bit lost in the the lore and philosophy of things. But I know why. It's because there is only one right answer. It's one of those, when I looked at your answer submissions, you see the winner and then you see the others and you're like, okay, let's just hear the others out at least. And I did, and it did nothing, unfortunately. So Warwick will be getting this point just because it's the perfect story about a serial, it's the perfect archetype of a serial killer. Because my whole thing is, I struggled. I get the Nightmare on Elm Street thing, kind of. It's interesting that we know. We now know it takes 20 child deaths for parents to say, okay, maybe we shouldn't look into this. That's kind of good.
That's hilarious.
It got to the point where even the parents had something to say about it. I'm like, you'd think, right?
And apparently you can blow up an entire car, you can shoot up an entire street, and everyone's like, it'll be fine tomorrow.
Even though I know
the cop's job. They'll take care
No
of
Country
it.
for Old Men is probably seen as the best movie of the three, even though I love Seven. Seven's one of my favorite David Fincher movie. I just think that it didn't click nicely into that serial killer box for me. It's because serial killing is killing in a certain pattern for the sake of killing to prove a point, and he killed because there were things in his way and he was getting through them in No Country for Old Men, it felt like. And Seven has one of the best endings of any movie ever.
What's in the box? What's in the box?
Not because it's so quotable, but because it so beautifully ties everything in a rhythm. It's so nicely structured.
What was in the box?
It's her wife's head.
Yeah, his wife's
Well,
head.
we never saw that.
Yeah, you never saw it. But I mean, he wouldn't shoot him otherwise. So
It was actually a box of cookies.
A box of chocolates.
it's just
It was probably raisin cookies. That's why.
mint.
Labeled chocolate chip.
It would be interesting if Brad Pitt then went on to be Forrest Gump and talked about life being a box of your wife's head.
Life is like a box of raisin cookies.
It's shit. I love Seven, so I'm happy to give the point there because it was perfectly argued. Interesting that was Kevin Spacey and everything that happened. So he also did stuff to 20 kids.
There's a correlation there.
So he was, we'll leave that there.
I just want to say something though.
Yes. That's his catchphrase. I just want to add one more thing.
Thanks for recommending No Country for Old Men. I watched it last night and I was...
Really?
I also watched it last year for the first time.
Oh my God. My mind was blown.
Yeah.
From beginning, until that part, but it was truly fascinating.
Javier Bardem is so good in that movie. I don't think he's played something better since that.
And when I saw Seven, I was like,
Yeah. No,
I was so worried I was going to get beaten to the punch. So I
I
actually like kind of rushed through my other answers to get it into Caleb. So I'm like, I've got 7. I know I'm getting this one at least.
so
I thought about 7, but I was like, that might be too obvious of an answer.
when I wrote this question, I was like, is there another valid answer? I'm like, I'm sure there is. Guess not. It's 7. So, I mean, I can see Warwick's thinking, what else would you say? And I had a bunch of things, and it has eluded me. But I do... you could look actually at a lot of horror movies, because Halloween is technically a serial killer movie. Yeah. Scream is definitely a serial killer movie.
100%. I thought of that.
So I think the take on that, I know it's a bit off topic, but I think what's nice about The Nightmare on Elm Street would have been to focus on the backstory of, it's a film about the consequences of dealing with the psychological injustices that we had.
Sure.
And then
I was trying to do that, but I guess I didn't explain it
with
well.
serial killers, it's a disturbed person that takes it to the next level. And okay, good answer. Good arguing. And now question 5, just so you know, Warwick is guaranteed to be in the speed round, but he can grab an extra point for himself. So all of you go for it. There is almost no narrative stronger than the relationship between a father and a son. It is something that's been tackled in so many ways
or
on
daughter.
screen. No, son. Been tackled in so many ways on screen, but we want to look at the special... Honestly, fair enough. Or daughter.
That's the whole thing, dude.
Or daughter. It is something that's been tackled in so many ways, daughters, sons, and we want to look at the special takes today and ask you, what is the best portrayal of father in a film? We'll go with Gareth. Why not? Let's set that straight.
Think Finding Nemo, but with guns and revenge story or justice story. If you take every single person except for dads away from the earth for an instant, and you ask them, what movie would you recommend for any other father? They're gonna say Taken. Liam Neeson's Taken, the ultimate hero story of a father who gets to save his kid, going to the ends of the earth, doing the impossible to eliminate a complete injustice from this world and to obviously save his kid. Arguably not, I guess, this father-daughter relationship, but just an action movie of a father's love on display for his daughter.
Awesome. Kuta.
Mine is Furious Styles from Boys in the Hood. The reason I chose this is, in almost every hood that you can think of, there are a lot of single parent households, and for the most part, a lot of boys grow up without without fathers, because maybe they ran away or they passed away or whatever, maybe due to gang violence, or they just didn't want to, take responsibility. So you have this man who's in the hood, deliberately so, because he really wants to make a difference in that hood. He could be anyway, because he's quite educated and he could actually make a living in the suburbs, but he deliberately chooses to be in the hood so that he can teach young boys something better, because most of these boys, their fathers are either in jail or the other things that are already mentioned. So when the main character's mother is struggling to deal with her son, she takes the son to the dad, and the dad slowly but surely tries to make sure that this son is on the right path, even if his friends are actually going to the wrong path. So that's me. That's Furious Styles.
Awesome. Warwick.
Cool. So then looking at the question, so I think the best portrayal of a father in cinema that I've seen is Solomon Vandy in Blood Diamond. And the reason I think so is that the entire foregrounded part of his character is that he is a father trying to find his son who's been abducted. And so what I think is so beautiful about the story and his representation in it is that you've got, what it is that fathers are meant to do for their children, which is to be protectors, providers. They pursue after their kids and chase after them and, seek to protect them from the world and integrate them into it. And you've got this guy who is grossly underprepared for the role, in trying to find his son and contend against all the militant soldiers that are in his way. But he goes at it full tilt, and then when he eventually finds his son, he finds his son in a completely dark space. He's been drugged out of his mind. He's been co-opted as a child soldier. And there's this beautiful, beautiful monologue he gives in which he calls his son back to himself, facing down his son as his son's pointing a gun at him. And he bestows his son's identity back onto him, which I think is such a deep and important part of the role of the father to their child. And the exact line he says, if you come back, I will be to you a father and you will be to me a son. And it is just gorgeously thematic and archetypal.
Very good. Okay, find it out.
I think I've lost this one.
No, Diamond.
No, go.
Go, you got this.
You can do it.
This actually turns into a round of it. He's just propping up.
Bothering you.
I'm just fathering you guys. No, I think what you just described was Liam Neeson, except he has a very particular set of skills. He wasn't underskilled. He was overskilled. So he was the guy to do it.
Damn, Gareth, stop stealing my rebuttal.
Which I guess you could argue is the incorrect thing, because not every father can do that. In fact, probably most fathers can't. But it's the fantasy or the will, the drive, the desire to, like, if I could, I would do that. And if you speak to any father, they would answer that question. That, like, when it comes down to brass tacks, and like, your kid has been taken. That's the title of the movie. Taken. Like, what lengths would you go to? They'd be like, have you seen the movie Taken? Because that's what I would do. And I think, yes, as much as fathers need to be providers and like lovers and psychologically available, also like a big thing on every father heart is the protector, as you said. And there's no better way to describe the protector than watching the movie Taken. Every shot fired, every angle, just encapsulates that feeling. And I'm pretty sure every father is like, yes. Okay. Every guy who wants to be a father.
From my side, I would say that almost every kid from the hood, they would watch these two movies and feel like, oh yeah, that is great. You know, these fathers did a brilliant job and it's action-packed and all of that. But they would still go back to the hood without fathers. Right? So with Furious Styles... he gives you hope. First of all, what he does is he gives you hope with men who have abandoned their children, that they could actually go back and do something. Also, he gives you hope with the children that they could actually grow up and to be fathers like him, right? In the reality of the hood, and they cannot really go out there and make a difference if it's really impossible for them to do so because of redlining, because of gatekeeping or gentrification and things like that. He also teaches other kids in the community of gentrification and is telling them that, guys, these weapons, the drugs and all of that, they did not come from us. We didn't invent these things. These things are shipped elsewhere. So he's teaching them about the harsh realities of life. And he also talks to his son who had a gun because he wanted revenge when his best friend died. And he told him that, okay, if you really want to shoot anybody else out there, then start with me. Shoot me then. And it's impossible or nearly impossible for a child to shoot their father if the father didn't do anything wrong. So he's teaching him that you shouldn't even think of doing something along those lines because you have a legacy to uphold. You have to try your best to emulate what I'm trying to teach you so that you can pass it forward, not just to you, but to everybody else in the community.
But do you not think that maybe that representation of fatherhood might be too niche to an audience? I mean, this is just a question to ask.
I wouldn't say it's niche because the large majority of the population is in poverty-stricken areas that have a lot of crime in them. And a lot of people die quite young. And like I said, there's a lot of absence in fathers. And if we had more fathers and father-like figures, I think there would be a lot of change in those communities despite the economic conditions.
But could it not be argued that then, because people are surrounded with that reality all the time, they might not be looking for the exaggerated father hero figure in which, they can identify with and, take example into their life, thinking about the sort of Taken character, right? You've got Liam Neeson, propelling forward, going up against all odds. He's a fantastic hero, and he is dealing with an extreme situation. Like, not everyone, is a spy whose daughter gets kidnapped by human traffickers, but there's a heart of heroism that becomes extremely heightened and hypered in that contrast. It becomes very hyper real, so to speak, through the action film, as opposed to something that sounds like more of a more low-key drama, which is realistic, but it asks the question, do people surrounded by their environment and their day-to-day story, is that going to be something that they connect to because it's familiar, or is it something they go like, well, I see that every day, I'd rather go and find a supercharged point of meaning in, you know, like a Taken film, or I'm not in a battle zone like in Blood Diamond, and which I feel like straddles both territories, because you're not getting the exaggerated Taken narrative, but you're not also getting on the ground. You're getting a really interesting world of story that not many people relate to, and so they enter into the foreign, but then ultimately find then the familiar and the heart of, you know.
I'll give you a real life example in South Africa.
Make this your closing.
All right. So what we often tend to do is when we look at people that really care about communities and want to make a big difference, we call them Papa, Tata, or I mean Mandela, we call them Tata because of that reason. And we call Uom now, the Minister of, is it Police or Correctional Services? I think one of the two, because it's making a difference in the young lives of the kids that are in jail. So there's a connection to fatherhood that really transcends Taken, human trafficking, and a situation like Blood Diamond, where there might not be such overt war everywhere in the world, but there is overt poverty-stricken areas. That's my...
Awesome. Gareth?
I have a very particular set of skills. Skills that I've acquired over many years. I have nothing to say.
Yeah, you should see that guy hop a fence, man.
And Taken 3, right?
Yes. There's 13 cuts in one fence hop. It's incredible.
He doesn't console anyone. He doesn't like, oh, I'll father you. He just straight up kills everyone.
Warwick, do you want to add something?
Okay, yes, I think all good picks. And I think there's a lot. I mean, I'm also sitting on 2 points, so it doesn't matter. And so I'm gonna use my closing.
To say something.
I know I'm gonna use my closing argument to be. I think that all the picks for this round were very well considered, because I think we do get a very interesting discussion around how theme and character translates into audience. Because I mean, as we were talking, the reason I asked those questions was actually not to try and like back anyone into a corner, but it was a genuine asking. It's like, how do we interact with cinema? And, you know, is there a risk that the familiar is strangers, or actually drags us in deeper? And it probably comes down to just an audience where they're at personally. Sometimes you need to see the thing that's super familiar so that I can connect with it. Other times it's the escape into the fantastic in order to carry that archetype with you. And so
what you're saying is, between the three of us, we all get a point.
Because
we captured them.
Okay.
yeah, if it was up to me, sure.
But it's not. And I will say, I think... Kutso, that was a fantastic round from your
dude,
side. I think we all know, we know you're getting this point.
It's quite
We were all just sitting here,
bro.
setting Sunday sermon, taking it in.
Your opening statement, I was like,
That's beautiful.
No, it is. Because, sorry, if I can just jump in.
Yeah, please do.
Because for me, it is because you have a guy who, those aren't even his kids.
Yeah.
And he's stepping in there to be a father, versus our two films had, these are my children, this is what I do.
Yeah.
So that's a real masculine
Yeah.
trait that anyone can embody, even if you don't have kids. Like, I can step and be a father to them.
yeah, you deserve that one.
Yeah, no, because also I like the fact that there's this idea of manhood that is doing the physical thing to save the person. Everyone always says this thing of like, when I said I'd do anything for you, my wife, I meant like killing dragons and stuff, not the laundry.
I don't want to do the dishes.
I don't want to do the dishes.
Said, get human trafficked so I can go and kill a bunch of guys to save you.
Yeah.
I don't want to drop you off there and take you here.
I like that you awaken a deeper part, and it's a very important conversation. A conversation of fathering a generation, not just a person. So you did a fantastic point, and I think I love that you spoke from the heart and it came through. And it's one of those things where when you just speak with true passion, that's sometimes it kind of feels stupid. Like, I'm going to give you a point on our fighting show. I'm just saying, good job. So I think it's great job, and no one did a bad job. I just think that's a fantastic job.
Man,
And
it was
there
a
was
great
this
pick.
aura of Kutso's winning that point anyway.
No, I
So-
felt it immediately, because I thought I came like, it was like, no, actually, I heard like, it's not even his kids. I'm like, damn, that's
like,
Yeah,
I do
that's-
love the take. I love the monologue you brought up, and the you know, I love
No, that was good.
It's a Blood Diamond's also just a fantastic movie.
yeah, no,
but
that's-
yeah, good job. Which means Kutso and Warwick, you will be going into the speed rounds showdown. But fret not, Gareth,
go to
as
that
you
corner.
become the secondary point giver. So
Oh!
you are going to help me
the power is
decide.
in my
You
hands.
genuinely
on your ride home.
So where do you live?
you have as much say as I do in who gets the points now. So we'll get into what that means a little bit later. But just brief reminder on how the speed round works. I'm going to ask you a question you have never heard before. You're going to give me the first answer that comes to your head. Don't argue just yet. You will be given an allotted 20 seconds to do your opening statement, and then you will have 15 seconds to rebut the opponent's point. Then, upon being done, I will ask Gareth to tell me his pick. I will give my pick. If they're different, the audience behind the camera will break the tie. So, let's get right into that speed round showdown and ask a question very reminiscent of what we just spoke about. And remember, just give me your answer as soon as you have it.
Can I take a moment to mentally prepare?
Yes. Breathe.
This is my least. I was actually hoping
I love losing.
I was like, oh, it'd be so great.
It's
Just
my
sit back and
favorite.
relax.
This is gonna be tough.
I hate this so
Okay,
much.
I'll tell you. I'll give you exactly. Okay, Gareth. This was the optional speed round question that because there was no tie. So while they gather themselves, just give me an answer. We'll take it and move on to the next question. What would you have said was the best film in the Edgar Wright Cornetto trilogy?
Cornetto trilogy.
What would you have said? Seeing that one didn't make it.
I think Hot Fuzz.
I agree.
For me.
I think actually it's Hot Fuzz, World's End, because I love World's End.
World's
I
End
know
is
people
amazing.
don't like it. I love it.
No,
It's
I mean,
amazing.
And
Shaun
I
of
think
the
Shaun of
Dead
the Dead is
has a
overrated.
very special place.
I
in my heart,
understand
because that was
that.
the first one I watched, but
the last one
But
I
Hot
watched.
Fuzz was
Yeah.
mastercrafted.
It's a great serial killer movie.
Great serial killer
So,
movie.
anyway.
From the humor to the suspense
Yeah.
to the tension to the
For the greater good.
editing. I mean, I'm an editor as well.
Yeah, same.
but
Yeah,
the
no,
editing is just
it's fantastic. Okay,
Cool, we're
You've
there.
had your chance.
Yeah.
The question. Oh, you take your sip. Okay. The question is, who is the best movie mom?
Who's the best movie?
Movie mom.
Best movie mom.
Yeesh.
The mom from Cheaper by the Dozen.
Okay. Good.
A biological mom or mother figure, or does it have
Let's see. Give me an answer. I'll tell you back too.
Oh no, he's coming out with that.
extra points if she's.
Miriam Masumbuka from Serafin?
Oh.
I mean, can anyone? Okay. Is that Whoopi Goldberg? Okay. Honestly, I'll take it. Based on your father argument, I think you've convinced us.
Who did she play?
It's
Whoopi Goldberg?
She's like the teacher.
She's a teacher.
Yeah. Okay. It's fine. Let's not let them think too much. I heard Warwick first fighting for the mom from Cheaper by the Dozen. 20 seconds start in 3, 2, 1.
All right, cool. So I think why she's a great mom is one, she gave birth to like 12 kids. So I think that's like, hats off to her. But also then, showing then a archetypal mother figure being able to run her household, keep attention on all the kids, as well as then manage her husband around all the antics. I think she's a fun comedy character. She gives a good archetype and ultimately, gives for a good movie experience.
You almost made it. Okay. Kutso in 3, 2, 1.
I think in a movie where there's police officers roaming around the school and they can't really say much and they're being taught in a language that they probably don't understand and they're scared to say the wrong thing because they might die or go to jail, it's nice to see a woman inspiring them to learn more, especially in an era where they were learning Bantu education.
You want me to fight against the
And
black guy
time.
about Bantu education?
Okay.
I'm gonna get cancelled if I choose you.
Just listen to the arguments. Don't worry about it. Okay. 15 seconds, Warwick, in 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, I feel like as much as, you're getting a mother figure, I think if we're looking at a movie mom, I feel that Cheaper by the Dozen has a greater archetype that it's dealing with because she is literally a mother as opposed to surrogate in that regard. And I think that connects more with audiences.
Cool. Okay. Kutso, 3, 2, 1.
As I've mentioned before, I mean, some of the mothers were not even around because they had to be domestic workers in suburbs, and she's the only one that was able to help them out with a lot of things, not just because of schoolwork, but probably the issues that they have at the house.
Time.
It's Oscar
Okay.
bait.
No, it's fine. I agree.
The more
I
the
think-
suffering, the-
I think the sincerity of the previous point has failed this time. I personally,
understand.
because I think you're trying too hard to pull on those strings. I am not scared. It's
a good tactic, but-
forget my point. What do you think, Gareth?
Yeah, I think definitely Serafina is very specific to that time of stress and that period. But I think we're talking holistically as a mom and as a biological mother. Like anyone who raises 12
Yeah.
kids with a positive attitude like that, I think.
Yeah, cool. I agree. I think the line "giving birth to 12 kids" is a great opener.
I'll take the L. Like honestly, that was not my agenda. But after it
just happened.
After saying the answer, I was like, oh no, So yeah.
Okay, so that's
It's kind of more pressurizing being on the point giving side. He's like,
so that's 1 point. So we've obviously equalized because you guys have the same amount of points. So it's one Warwick and 0 Kutso, but there's still 4 questions left. So you have
Alright.
plenty of time. Okay, this is a this or that. So listen to the whole question and then just jump for the one you want. Which animated film would be better? A, animated Schindler's List, or B, animated Requiem for a Dream?
Schindler's List.
Okay. You've got Requiem for a Dream.
man.
Okay, so Warwick, I heard
Oh, you didn't have a choice.
Yeah. Warwick, you're gonna start in 3, 2, 1.
I think why Schindler's List would make a great animated film is that already it has such a striking visual style, and that can then be amplified then through a choice of, animation medium. I would recommend something that's like 2D, high contrast in terms of its line work, and I think it also would allow then for greater abstract, visceral representation of the horrors then of the Holocaust.
Time. Okay, and Kutso in 3, 2, 1.
I think, honestly speaking, I haven't seen any of these two. So already, I'm already gonna lose that one. But I think the Holocaust as a concept is way too dark to be in an animated film, especially towards a certain population that tried very hard not to touch on such a topic.
Time, quickly, before you say something bad. Okay, I will ask you before we continue. Do you know what Requiem for?
No, I do.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
No, then we're gonna
I
keep.
don't.
Okay, for now you'll see after the 50. Okay, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, cool. So to just rebut there, I think we have to break away from animations being like kids' movies, etc. Because there's a strong tradition of animations done from particularly Eastern Europe, in which they deal with very heavy topic matters through the animated medium, which softens the blow actually and leans to artistry.
Okay, Kutso, 15 seconds in 3, 2, 1.
Look, I think both of these topics are very deep, and I don't think there's anything that I honestly can say that would defend Requiem for a Dream. You know what I mean? Because teenagers get exposed to certain substances, and yeah, it could be detrimental. So yeah.
And that's 15 seconds of giving up. No,
there's no
honestly,
way.
okay, obviously, like,
Unbelievable, Warwick. Jeez,
it's probably going to go to, it's going to go to Warwick, like, yeah. But what I will say is, if it was me, I would have chosen Requiem for a Dream, not Schindler's List, because you can animate the drug trips and
I get
make
you.
it even more haunting to go back to.
Like Paprika. I watched Paprika.
Yeah, it came up a while ago. There was a question about haunting scary sequences in non-horror movies, and if you look at what's it, Count Frollo, I think, in Hunchback of Notre Dame, like having these extreme animated sequences to show the dramatic effects of drugs. I think that even though both could work, like I don't think it's a ridiculous question. The idea of adult animation is very
Also makes it a
relevant
bit
now.
more stomachable because the
No, but you don't know. No, animation makes it so much less. Like it's so much more in your face that it's just worse. Requiem for a Dream is just a 3-hour movie about how horrible drugs are and destroys everyone's lives. I haven't seen it. It's Gore Verbinski. No, that's not his name.
Aronofsky.
Darren Aronofsky. Sorry, Darren Aronofsky. I really like his stuff, even though they're not all great. But that's one of his more intense ones.
He's an auteur.
I think Mother is super underrated. It's a film. I love talking about Mother. It's a film.
We interrupt this competition to bring you the
Best movie, Mother. Honestly, valid answer. So Mother is literally just a movie where they're like, you know the Bible? We're gonna make a movie about that. But they don't understand anything, and it's just this abstract. But I love the way they handled it. Terrible theology, terrible, like
wow.
stupid as hell. It's stupid, but
As
so
it
well
usually
made.
is.
I would recommend it to anyone who's not going to take their theology from Darren Aronofsky. Okay, so I will say, Kutso, that it's 2 to Warwick now. So if he wins this point, he wins it all.
Okay.
Okay, open-ended question.
Well,
What movie character probably smokes the most?
Smokes what?
Oh, is that the whole question?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the whole question.
Open-ended.
What movie character?
What movie character probably smokes the most?
Shaun and Shaun of the Dead.
Okay.
Spike Spiegel from Cowboy Bebop.
There is an animated movie, right? Okay, fine. Good luck. Okay. Warwick, I heard you first, and your time starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
So if we look at, what smoking does, it's for calming your nerves, it's for slightly recreation. I think a guy who's out of his depth going through the zombie apocalypse and he's hiding out in pubs, probably the only thing he's doing to deal with his issues is smoking cigarettes.
You said from World's End.
No, from Shaun
Shaun of the Dead. Oh, okay.
I mean, we have this little banter going in your final 10 seconds. By the time I'll catch you short. Okay, Kutso, Time starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. So Spike Spiegel usually deals with a lot of trauma, and there was an incident where he was dealing with an airborne disease, and he had to just relieve his stress by smoking a lot, to a point where he was dealing with someone that actually invented the virus, the Envo virus, to give him something to smoke. So yeah.
Let's just give this one to Kudo and move on. I don't know. It's fine. Okay, what is your just because okay.
Still
15 seconds start in 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so he's smoking for medicinal purposes as opposed to... I don't know how to answer back to this guy. I mean, zombies equal smoking, airborne disease, cancer, smoking. My guy's choosing to smoke out of choice.
Yeah, go for it. 3, 2, 1.
I mean, he was also smoking out of choice, but yeah, those situations were very dire. So yeah, that's what he had to do.
I'm gonna do something stupid. Not because I think you have a better argument. I just think this is such a stupid place to end this that I'm just gonna give him the point so we can go on one more.
Yeah, one more.
That's a technical point for you.
No, this
I mean,
speed
I
round
would have
is
given it to
tough.
Kuto
I know,
anyway.
dude, because I was like, I just thought, sure.
the blanket.
To be honest, I literally in my mind just went like Cornetto Trilogy. Shaun of the Dead. Yes,
I would have gone Wolverine or something, but yeah.
dude, no, I hate these.
Yeah, it's a good one.
That's a good one.
Okay, this is an interesting one. It's an open-ended, so just say your answer. If Quentin Tarantino's 10th and supposed final film was a sequel to one of his previous works, which sequel would it be?
Kill Bill.
Okay.
Django.
Oh.
It's funny because you'd think the sequel would be called Django Unchained.
Yeah. Django 2, Unchained.
Okay.
Django Rechained.
Okay, no ideas. Kuto in 3, 2, 1, go.
Look, Vivica A. Fox's character died in the first one, and you saw the daughter actually witnessing her mother being killed by the bride. And it would be interesting to see a revenge film where Vivica A. Fox's daughter, Venita Green, comes now to try and kill not only the bride, but the bride's daughter.
Cool. Warwick in 3, 2, 1.
Well, I think Django Unchained would make for have a good sequel because we get Django at the end of the film he's really arced, he's become this really cool badass character, but then we only get the climax in which to see that. I think now what would be interesting in a sequel is we carry that character forward, you bring back some other antagonists from the subplots we had earlier, and you turn it into just a classic western.
Cool.
This is tough.
Kuto, 15 seconds, 3, 2, 1.
I think with Kill Bill is we get to explore the cycle of revenge, because if the girl is going to be doing the exact same thing that the bride did, it's going to cause us to think of who was actually right and who was wrong. Who's the true villain? Who's the true hero? Because...
Time. Because nothing. Okay, Warwick, 3, 2, 1.
I feel like Kill Bill getting another sequel would just be retreading old ground, whereas I feel like a Django Unchained sequel would be able for us to look at the Western genre more broadly, take a cool character, reinvent him, and try some new things.
Cool.
This is a tough one.
Everyone went, right? I'm not... It was 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay, cool. Yeah, that was good. What do you think, Gareth?
Arguably, Kill Bill is probably his most popular film. At least in terms of the everyman. Everyman knows what Kill Bill is. I'm gonna go with...
I also think I like how you played into certain themes, and I think you had a clear reason for a sequel that painted a nice picture. So I think I'll go you as well, Kuto.
Please still give me a lift home.
Which means we have a true showdown with our final question.
Tiebreaker.
And this will determine the winner, regardless
Going with Django now.
of who wins. And I really like this question. So open-ended, just come with your answer. What movie would be most wasted to watch in IMAX?
Annie Hall.
Jesus.
Amen.
You've given that answer too many times.
Oh, Pulp Fiction.
No, I would...
Pulp Fiction. Okay, you said Pulp Fiction. Okay, interesting. Warwick, I heard you first, and this time starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
I think the appeal of an IMAX movie watching experience comes to crisp visuals, unique aesthetic style, as well as crunchy sound design. And Annie Hall has none of that. And so it would not be served in an IMAX medium. Do I have more time?
You have 6 more seconds.
Okay, and as a result, I don't think it would be worthwhile adapting into it.
Which is why it's
I'm
my
so glad you
answer
added
to
that
this
last point,
question.
because I didn't get what you were saying.
Okay, Kuto, 3, 2, 1, go.
Look, I think Annie Hall is quite iconic because it has a lot of humor and it touches on a lot of things. I mean, he breaks the fourth wall so many times, it's not even funny. To see that and laugh, that would be so interesting to watch, to be honest with you, especially the scene where Diane Keaton is driving like a lunatic. I would be interested to see that in IMAX because the sound will be there, funny enough. But
okay, your 15-second start in 3, 2, 1.
Pulp Fiction has a great soundtrack. It's got great crisp visuals. It can be remastered to have extra visual quality, so I think it serves an IMAX experience. Versus Annie Hall, it relies on just its dialogue, and it's kind of like a musical story. It doesn't have anything that be augmented by an IMAX experience.
And time. Okay, and Kuto, 15 seconds, 3, 2, 1.
I would argue that actually Annie Hall could actually be interesting to watch in IMAX because, like I said before, not just because it's dialogue. I mean, a lot of Tarantino movies are dialogue, but with Annie Hall, I think it brings a certain...
Okay, time.
Oh, man.
I would like to say that I have no reason why we shouldn't watch Pulp Fiction, because you never said the word Pulp Fiction once.
Yeah.
You really want to go see Annie Hall. So you really doubled down on that rebuttal, but I'll hear from Gareth first. Who do you think?
I think purely based on ticket sales, if Pulp Fiction came to IMAX, people would buy those tickets. I don't think people would watch Annie Hall.
Yeah, so you're giving the point to Warwick.
I'm giving the point to Warwick.
Well, Warwick wins!
I can get home!
I want to give my thoughts, but like I can't give my thoughts and then announce it. So I've never heard anyone not talk about anything they picked. So it's. I realize that's a bold spot, a blank spot. I don't know what Annie Hall is, to be honest.
Oh.
That one missed me.
Neither do I.
Like, it feels like Aaron Brockovich too. What is it? Is it lawyer?
Spoke about Annie Hall.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is it lawyer based? Who will never know. Really outing myself, but. Well done, Warwick. You came, you fight, and you won.
The speed round was tough.
I know, dude. I hate speed rounds so much, dude.
No, I love them.
I hate them so much.
You guys brought together some words that I don't know where you pulled that out of.
It was very entertaining. The smoker one was rough.
Yeah,
but
dude. Well, you know.
Oh, no. Guys, to be honest, if you watch that movie, you'll be like, you shouldn't have given me that point. But yeah, it makes sense.
I was going to say Gandalf because he's always smoking.
I thought Gandalf! And I was like, no, but I need something that motivates the, why they're smoking.
No, that's a great answer. Yeah, very good answer.
Why? Because he is.
He literally
smokes.
He literally appears only when Bilbo starts smoking.
Yeah.
No, very, very fantastic. I love that you guys brought it and you brought the heat and you fought with passion and you knew stuff and brought stuff and taught me stuff. So thank you so much for that. I think Warwick, as the winner and main character of this episode, please look into that camera and say whatever you want, plug whatever you want, shout out whatever you want.
Watch movies, guys, and have good theatre etiquette.
That's
Movies are important.
That's good. Gareth, you look eager. Tell them where to find you, what you do, and whatever you want to add.
Major Gaz on Instagram. Please check out my skits. If you laugh, leave a comment, and follow these two guys. They're freaking awesome, and they clearly know what they're talking about. I do not.
No, you did great. And then Kuto, plug yourself.
You can find us at Zanzi Nerds and African Frame Film channel, and the YouTube channel you can check us out is at Cinema Soda SA as well. So, awesome. Yeah.
And I'm gonna take another chance to just plug the episode we recently did with them. It was really I'm plugging it because I loved it. It was one of my favorite episodes to do, and I can't wait to have the other guys back. But we had to split you guys to see what happens when you're out in the wild by yourself. But fantastic job. I love a good filmy, debatey, old school movie talk episode, and this was that, and I really appreciate that. I also want to thank Tebedien. We've got empty drinks all around.
And they were delicious.
So thank you, Tebedien.
I wanted another one.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can organize myself another one because I go home to this. So that's a big score. So thank you so much for that. And obviously, the favorite person to thank is God for putting this together and actioning it and bringing awesome people on where we get to talk about stupid stuff, but we get to build relationships and have friendships because of it. And hopefully we inspire you guys to go find people to talk movies about and then hear us say this and they're like, we should talk about God too. That's a win. Vincent's the main. No, God's the main character. Almost messed that
Should have
up.
said give that answer every time.
Yeah.
Who's the best father figure?
no,
God.
Oh no.
I would have won straight away.
Kutza has a habit of saying Jesus as the answer to every question.
You know, have you seen Bruce Almighty? Yeah, you know God?
Oh no.
He was probably the best father.
The black guy in there. Yeah, but that's all we have to say for now. Keep on checking out season 2, and there's a lot more to come and a lot more to say later. Enjoy movies, enjoy fighting about them, stay lovely, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of Plot Armor. We really hope you enjoyed it.
I know we did.
If you haven't yet, please make sure to subscribe to the Plot Armor YouTube channel.
And if you want to see the season that just ended, go click on the season 1 playlist.
And if you have any strong feelings about the topics we tackled in today's video, make sure to comment them down below.
We will enter the Battleground once again next Monday. Bye-bye.